Hello, Suno. Hello, Rick. Yes, we are back. Very excited to get back into racing. Plenty of improvement for Lawrence out there. Right then. Get everything enabled. Hello, everybody. Let me turn off my mic in-game because that is going to be incredibly annoying for everyone. Where is it? Mute by default. Push to talk. That should do it. There we go. Hello everybody and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. We're back. It's been a long break, but F1 24 is here and league racing in APPF1 is back, and we begin the first week of the new season with Tier 2 here in Qatar, and Sumo Gilligan, fitting as it may be, is first out on track in the Mercedes to get us underway. He's going to attempt to set the first lap of APPF1 Season 13. It's going to be a good one, he'll be hoping, but just look at that beautiful Mercedes livery this year. It's absolutely fantastic. Hello, Alex, in the chat, giving me a skull. Thank you for that. But as you'll see by the grid, there are quite a few newbies out on track today. FCRL Drogon is not one of them. That is Lucas Rowe. I think it's just his EA name is slightly different. Maxim Gultor, ZTX Primeval, ARS Meliodas Tabo, Nick Riles 7, all new drivers on the Tier 2 grid this season. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they do. The likes of Meliodas, possibly Tabo and Maxim Gultor, keep an eye on them because I think they'll be quite fast in this division. But anyway, Sumo coming down towards turn 1 in the Mercedes. Nicely done through there. Keeping it clean for now is Sumo on the exit of turn 2. So easy to spin at the exit of that corner, but he's navigated it fairly well with that yellow, black, red and a bit of pink on the helmet through the next couple of corners. The skull is for Alex. Oh, I'm sure you'll be fine. Into the slow hairpin, probably the slowest corner on this track. As Sumo now comes into the middle sector, this is a find the right time to get on the power and then get on it quickly. Full speed through there. And now into this corner, third gear for Sumo. It's usually fourth through that corner, but Sumo prefers third. It can be optimal on this game. Third can be, bizarrely, it can be easier to spin in fourth than in third sometimes this year. But Sumo coming through. Is he going to be flat through there? Not quite. Lifted off a tad. What about through here? Yeah, lifts off again. That's the right thing to do, but that's not too bad from Sumo, my podcast partner, into the last corner for the Mercedes driver. He's going to set the first lap of APPF1 Season 13. Down towards the line, it's a 23.147 from Sumo. That's the initial pace. Maxim beats him by 1.5 seconds with a 21.5 from the newbie. Jackalacco, the Season 10, Tier 2 champion, is behind Sumo on his first run. What about Tia coming into the last corner in that bright green? Oh my goodness, it's so bright in game. Lime green, neon fluorescent green. He goes to P2, 1.2 seconds behind Maxim Gultor. What about his teammate Enchilada Dad coming to the line now as well in the other Kick Sauber? He's a little bit closer and he goes to P2. Who's next across the line? Nick Rells into the pits by the looks of it. Or no, that is Nick Rells across the line. He's quite a way back as it stands. But we'll see what he can do later in the session. Someone went into the pits. I think it was the Alpine of Mania, possibly. Lawrence, the defending champion, coming around the final corner. What can he do? He's not been the greatest qualifier in Tier 2 historically, but he goes to P3 for now. It's not a bad showing from him at all in the first run. Meliodas joins his teammate on the front row, 2.5 tenths behind Maxim, as ZTX Primeval goes to P9 on those hard tyres. He's just going for a bit of an exploration lap, it seems, on this first run, and he didn't use a lot of ERS either, so I'm sure he'll be a lot faster on the softs and using some ERS. So still all to play for there. Aces on an outlap in the Haas. Tabo as well, looking for his first lap in APPF1. As Drogon, formerly Lucas Rowe, coming around the final corner in his Haas. DRS open to the line, and here we go, down towards turn 1 to start his first lap of the session. The Italian driver, ever improving in APPF1. He and Rafferrari joined at about the same time into the league, and Rafferrari improved a heck of a lot towards the latter end of last season. Lucas Rowe a little further behind, but we'll see how close he can get. Drogon through sector 2 now, into the next few corners for the Haas driver. Not too bad through there. Getting the throttle down early is the key through that corner. Full throttle through there, and now 4th gear into the next corner. A gear higher than Sumo went for, and now into the final sector, flat out through the first right, flat out through the second, and if you're feeling brave, flat out through the third. Is Drogon feeling brave? No, a slight lift and he goes wide anyway, and now into the penultimate corner, lifts a lot less for that. That was very brave from Drogon as he now comes into the final corner, and the Italian driver will be able to set a lap here. DRS open down towards the line, and it's a 22.6. It's not bad at all from Drogon, that. Not bad at all. Aces versus Kings, his teammate, also coming to the last corner. What can he achieve? The British driver very deep into the final corner. That'll have lost him a couple of tenths, I would have thought. Down to the line, and it's a long way back, but he didn't use a lot of ERS on that lap, you notice. He's still got quite a lot left, unless it's a graphical error. It could be, I don't know. You never know with a new game. You never know when the where the bugs are. But Tabo coming through the last couple of corners now as well. Penultimate corner, not too bad. Using that overtake into the final corner. He goes. Not too bad on the exit, but a little wide of the apex again. DRS open to the line. It's a 22.8 from Tabo. Puts him firmly mid-grid. 2 Red Bulls well ahead of everyone else at the moment. Alex G also into the final sector. Oh, not quite flat out through that last right-hander. And now the left-hander, and to the final corner for Alex. And yeah, it is definitely a graphical error, I think. Unless... Oh no, it's not a graphical error, it's just that I'm confusing the 2 lines there. But anyway, Alex goes to P8. That's not too bad at all for the Mercedes driver. 1.3 seconds off of Maxim's time. As ZTX Primeval improves on the same tyres. He's gone for it on the same tyres again. Oh, and he's gotten in the way of that Red Bull. Maxim is not going to be happy about that one. And ZTX just perhaps showing a little bit of inexperience there, getting in the way of Maxim's lap. And, well, that's probably going to be a 10-second penalty if he ends up getting reported here. Mania also the only driver yet to set a lap time so far in this session. Into the final few corners he goes. Again, another lift into the last right-hander, a huge lift into that left-hander, the penultimate corner, but he's got a Mercedes in his way here through the last corner. Who is that? I think that might be Sumo Gilligan just starting a lap. It is indeed, so Sumo could be in trouble there. That could be a 5-second penalty heading his way for a distraction in qualifying. They've both got to be careful of the Red Bull behind. Mania duly gets out the way, but he's not going to be too best pleased with Sumo's driving there. Maxim coming around the last corner, but we know he had to back off as his teammate is coming to the end of Sector 1 now. But a key difference in qualifying from this year's game compared to last year's game, as Meliodas goes a little bit wide and invalidates, is that you can now use the overtake button during your lap. So you can use the maximum amount of ERS, essentially, as Tier now comes into the final couple of corners. The Sauber driver, into the final corner he goes, and on the exit, it's DRS open, all the way down to the line, using that overtake button. It's a 22.4 for Tier. He goes into fourth place, and it's Red Bulls and then the Saubers making up the front two rows at the moment, with the defending champion Lawrence in fifth place, but currently on a lap. Maxim into the pits, Meliodas probably soon to follow. I have to remember that the pit entry has changed this year. It is now there instead of before the final corner. Sumo goes to P5. That's a decent lap time from the British driver, as Lawrence now is slightly improving through sector 1. What can he do in the middle sector? He's not used a lot of ERS, and now he's deploying. Here he goes all the way down, and 1.5 tenth improvement so far. Flat through the first, flat through the second. What about the third? He's flat. Yeah. Keeps the throttle down for that corner, lifts off for the penultimate corner, but if you're brave enough, you've got to go flat into that last right-hander. And Sumo now through the final corner, DRS open to the line. What's it going to be on the clock? It's a 22.4 to put him ahead of both Saubers into P3 for now. Nick Riles in the Williams. Coming through sector 1 at the moment, improving by 1.5 tenths. But yeah, the two Williams bringing up the rear at the moment. But like I say, as long as they both finish this race, they will get points. And as long as you get points on your debut, then in my opinion, it's a successful debut in any league. ZTX still in the pits. He's only done 3 laps on hard tyres, or 2 laps really, 2 push laps. So he's got to come out at some point. Lawrence in sector 2 heading back to the pit lane right now. Tabo across the line. I think he's just starting a lap, is he? No, he's on 40%, so I think he just finished a lap, and he's gone P8 in the Aston Martin. Drogon starting a lap in the Haas, currently P7, which I think he'll be very happy with as it stands, but he has backed off of that one already, so he's going to have to go again. I'm not sure how much time is left in the session. Aces coming through sector 1 is 3.5 tenths up, so looking for a big improvement here is the British driver, who finished second in the driver's standings last season and third the season before that. So on current trajectory, he will win this championship, but it's a little more complicated than that, unfortunately for him, as he comes down to the end of sector 2. 4.5 minutes to go in the session, plenty of time left. 4.5 tenth improvement for Aces versus Kings as it stands through the final. Yeah, I think he lifted off a tad for that final right-hander there. He doesn't lift off enough there. That's going to lose him some time. He hasn't invalidated. He lifted off enough for the game to forgive him, but that is definitely going to be costly for Aces as he puts DRS open to the line. It's a 22.5. Big improvement to P8, just ahead of his teammate. And Tabo, by the way, improves to P3 in the Aston Martin, 6.5 tenths behind Maxim's pole lap, but beats the defending champion to third place as it stands. Aces and Drogon. I think Drogon's on a lap right now. He's just starting one. Alex G also coming to the end of a lap. Is it a competitive lap time? It looks like it is. DRS open for the Ukrainian. A 22.1. He goes P3 in the Mercedes. Fantastic job from Alex there. Big pressure lap for the Mercedes driver, and goes just ahead of Tabo. What about Drogon? He's currently in sector 2. See pretty shortly if he's improving. He's coming through these tricky sets of corners. His left-hander is particularly hard. It's easy to lock the rears or to lose the rear end on exit like Drogon did momentarily there. through Sector 2. He is improving by 1.5 tenths. He's looking to at least beat his teammate to P9 here. The two Hasses close together on the grid at the moment. Here comes Drogon into the penultimate corner, full throttle, but he's could have lifted off a bit there, and that is an invalidation for the Italian. He's going to have to head back into the pits. No, he's stayed out despite the invalidated lap time, just to prove that he would indeed have beaten his teammate. A 22.3 it would have been. I think that's just enough for P8 it would have been, perhaps even P7. Unfortunately invalid, and that is going to be the end of his qualifying session. No more time unless he uses those same tyres again, recharges the battery on this lap, and he could well do exactly that, so we will see. I don't know why the yellow flag is just flashing at the top left of the screen there. Thank you very much, EA. But Enchiladad and Tier, Sumo out on track, Mania and ZTX as well. ZTX finally putting on a set of the soft tyres, so we'll see how well he can do with those. But anyway, it's Maxim on an outlap. He's the pole position man at the moment, along with his teammate Meliodas in the Red Bull, as they come into the last few corners of their outlaps. 1.5 minutes left to go in this session, and in theory Maxim will have time for another lap after this one, but in theory is different from practice, so we will see how much time he really is going to have. And he will also have older tyres if he wants to try and go again after this one. He's coming through Sector 1 at the moment. Tier as well is just behind him, a couple of corners behind, as Maxim through Sector 1. This double right-hander, very tricky set of corners to get right. Maxim maximising it there, and he's 1.5 tenths up in Sector 1. This could be a very big lap from the Red Bull driver, the newbie on this grid, along with his teammate Meliodas, who's also coming to the end, or sorry, coming to the start of Sector 1. What did Tier do in Sector 1? He's a 10th up. Enchiladad coming across the line to start, as well as Sumo. Drogon not on a lap. ZTX Primeval coming to the end of Sector 1 as well. We'll run on board with Meliodas. Is he improving? But he is by 3 tenths. This could be close. ZTX improving by 1.1 seconds as well. He could be right in the mix in that midfield. If he can continue this lap. Meliodas 3 tenths up, Maxim 1 tenth up in Sector 2. Is it going to be an improvement for the pole sitter? Down to the line, DRS open. It looks like an improvement. It is, but not by a lot. A 21.4. Can Melio beat that? He's coming into the final sector now. He's 4.5 tenths up. Meliodas looking to take the first pole position of the season. Tier goes to P3. Big pressure lap from him. But here comes Meliodas, the Spanish driver, I believe, as he comes into the final corner. Is it going to be enough to take pole position? I think it is. 21.2 for Meliodas, and that is pole position. Can anyone beat that? Tabo in the Aston Martin on a lap. Lawrence, defending champion, is 4 tenths up, but it's not going to be enough to get anywhere near that pole time. Here he comes into the final sector now. He's got his teammate Jacko for company. I think they're both on laps, so we'll ride on board with Jacko. He's 4.5 tenths up, coming into the final corner, but he's going to need more than that to gain any positions. Mania just about pips him, but I think Jacko's got him. Yes, he does. P11. Lawrence to P3. Not too far behind. Takes that away from Tier. What about Tabo in the Aston? He's not improving. He's 2.5 tenths down. And Aces spins on his final run as well. Maxim gets a 5-place grid penalty for a severe collision. I'm not sure what's happened there, but we shall see. We shall see afterwards, but he's going to start from P7 thanks to that. No idea what happened, but regardless, that is that for this Tier 2 qualifying session, the first Tier 2 qualifying session of the new season, and on F1 24, and it's ARS Meliodas on pole position with his teammate alongside. No improvement from ZTX, by the way, in the end there. So there we have it. It is Meliodas on pole position, representing Spain and Red Bull, with his teammate alongside Maxim Golter in P2. Lawrence, the defending champion, in P3 with Tia in 4th. Although Maxim will have a 5-place grid penalty and will drop to 7th. Drogon and Alex on the 3rd row, Tabo and Enchilada, and then Sumo, Aces, Jacko, Mania, and the 2 Williams make up the rest of the grid. And this should be a pretty exciting race, certainly for the podium positions, but the win could end up being a bit of a runaway if Meliodas' race pace is on the same caliber for today, but we shall see. Goal is to finish top P15 for me, says Alex. Well, you'd have difficulty finishing P15 today. That's what I will say. So here we go, we're about to get underway. Formation lap to start with, and as we see, most of the grid excuse me, going onto the mediums today, but not by much. It's an 8-6 difference. 8 people on the mediums, 6 on the hards. Mostly the rear runners going on the hards, except for Nick on the mediums, and mostly the front runners going for mediums, except for Lawrence on the hards. So it's going to be an interesting insight into how good the tyres are between the mediums and the hards, how much of a difference there is. If Lawrence immediately drops back, then we'll know that he'll be much stronger later in the Grand Prix, but if he manages to stay with the rest of the pack, then he should be, the tyres won't be too different, as they weren't last year, but we shall see. Hello to RJ in the chat. Sorry couldn't make it. Hate this track anyway. Yeah. All good. All good. You've got Tabo in your place in the Aston Martin, so you can cheer him on instead. But Meliodas now coming into the final corner for Red Bull on this formation lap, as Lawrence spinning just behind, and Sumo will be very happy to see that. Will he be able to see it? Not quite. But I think he'll be at least have seen the smoke following Lawrence's car, so maybe he will know what happened. But he'll have a good laugh to himself in that cockpit. But anyway, and there's a Mercedes going. Who was that? Was that a Mercedes? Just behind, trying to warm up the tyres. And here we go. We're about to get going for the first race of APPF1 in F124, the first mainline race, I should say, after the Sprint Championship in the off-season. Here we go. 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Qatar Grand Prix. It's a great start from an Aston Martin. There are a lot of people having poor starts. And getting wheel spin. It's a great start for Meliodas, though, at the front of the field. Tia trying to go around the outside of Lawrence on the exit of turn 1, but has to back out of that one. A lot of cars exchanging places, a lot of battles in the mid-grid. Maxim already gaining a place on Enchilada. Up to P6 goes the Red Bull driver. Drogon trying to put pressure on the Sauber, and he goes all the way around the outside. What a move that could be as someone's round. That's Aces in the background is round. Tia going down the inside of Lawrence into the hairpin. Can't quite get get the move complete. Lawrence gets a big snap on the exit, just about stays ahead, but Meliodas already with a huge lead, and that's partly pace, but I think partly also the tyres. Tier is all over the back of this McLaren, no doubt getting frustrated with the lack of pace on the hards from the defending champion. The two Williams have made up places. Jackalacco is all the way down to 12th. In the meantime, although I think that's around where he started, but the two Williams have done very well there. Good start for both of them on their debuts. Tabo in P4 as well. Alex G in P5. Looking to stay with those top runners. Meliodas already with a 2.5 second lead over Lawrence in P2 at the end of lap 1, and DRS will be enabled this lap but not down this straight. It'll be the next time we get here that we'll have DRS on for the cars behind. And Aces has spun again. He's not having a good time so far on F124. Not a good start to the new year for him, as Alex under pressure from Maxim now in the Red Bull. Alex trying to hold him off. Maxim trying to go around the outside but has to back off in the end. Good racing between the two of them, as Tia now trying to go down the inside of Lawrence, has to back off and lets Tabo through by accident. Tabo now down the inside. Alex nearly into the back of both of them. Locks up and goes deep, just about manages to avoid them but loses the place to Maxim. This is breakneck racing here, fantastic stuff. Tia back ahead of Tabo, and all of this is perfect for Meliodas at the front. Maxim trying to go down the inside. There's a big contact between Enchilada and Alex, I think that was, towards the back of the midfield. Tabo and Maxim now going side by side into the flat out right-handers. Tabo's got to leave him room, and it's fantastic racing from both, and Maxim makes the move. What an overtake from the Red Bull driver. Sumo gets himself a penalty for track limits. There'll be plenty of those tonight, as Drogon now trying to put pressure on Enchilada for 7th. This is fantastic action in the midfield. Meliodas is gone. He is taking full advantage of all of this, while Lawrence staying ahead of Tia, but for how much longer? Down towards turn 1, Tia has the DRS but doesn't go for the move, stays behind, and allows Lawrence to stay in P2 for now. Enchilada and Drogon going side by side. I think Enchilada had to back out of that one. Drogon nearly losing the rear on the Exeter 2, and now Alex is going to be under pressure for that P6 position in the Mercedes. Through the double right-hander they go. Drogon going way too far on the inside. That'll be a track limits warning surely for the Haas driver, and Alex G stays in front for now. But this is great stuff in the midfield here between all these drivers on the mediums, and just Lawrence on the hards, but Tia is right up his gearbox, is going down the inside, but he's got Maxim to worry about, who's trying to go around the outside, but manages to back out of that one in time. But this Red Bull is on a mission right now, but so is Tia. He needs to get past Lawrence right now. Surely down into turn 1 is where he's got to make the move now. The Red Bull just behind, getting a much better X out penultimate corner though, and this is going to compromise both of their lines. This could allow Lawrence to keep P2 for another lap. Maxim down the inside of the final corner makes the move, but both of them will have DRS, and perhaps Lawrence is going to be in trouble here. Here comes Maxim down the inside to make it a 1-2 for Red Bull once again, and Tia follows him through up to P3 for the British driver, and Lawrence trying to hang it around the outside, but surely going to have to back out of that, and does indeed. Before turn 2, Tia up to P3 and Maxim back into the top 2. I think these two Red Bulls are going to run away with this race, but for P3 this is going to be very, very interesting. Tabo in the Aston Martin now trying to be the next man to get past Lawrence, who's struggling big time on those hard tyres. Enchilada getting past Drogon in the meantime, or is it the other way around? Drogon down the inside of this long right-hander, and the Haas driver makes the move. They're still just about side by side, but Enchilada backs out. But Drogon gets a terrible corner there through a full throttle corner. I don't know how he managed to go so wide, but Enchilada trying to take advantage. Cars left and right, battling all over the shop here. Sumo's right behind and slams into the back of Enchilada, into the right-handers. Goes Enchilada just trying to avoid the car in front, I think, and Sumo's going to make his way through. Enchilada Dad has to go off the road. I don't think he'll be too happy with that particular sequence of events. But Drogon, in the meantime, getting past Alex. Huge slide. What a save from Drogon there. But that's going to open the door for Alex down towards turn 1, you would think. And here comes the Mercedes driver, Alex G from Ukraine, but no move available as Drogon also had the DRS, so no particular advantage for either of them. But this is where it's going to start getting dicey. I think this is where we'll start seeing more mistakes happening, because the tyres getting too worn on this game, it really affects you. Really makes it difficult to get the rears out of a corner without sliding out, and you've got to adapt over the stint, as opposed to last game where it just suddenly kicked in the wear, and that was it. For the rest of the race, it would just get slightly worse over the coming laps, but now it gets quite significantly worse with every percent. Or every few percent, so you've got to adapt over the course of the race, as Tabo does manage to clear the struggling McLaren on those hard tyres, Lawrence is, but he'll be much stronger in the second half of this race, he'll be hoping, and he'll certainly be hoping that there's no safety car in the first half of this Grand Prix, as now he's going to be under pressure from the Italian driver Drogon in the Haas. Through the final corner he goes. But Lawrence is going to have the DRS from the Aston Martin and could well take this place back. I think he is going to ram the outside for turn 1, and the move is done before the braking zone. Lawrence back into P4, and frustration for Tabo as Enchilada makes it back past Sumo after the two had a little bit of contact earlier on. Sumo under pressure from ZTX Primeval in the Williams, who's having a good race so far, it has to be said. Not doing too badly at all. Very much in that lower midfield pack, so hasn't dropped off. So he's done pretty well so far. Nearly goes into the back of Sumo there, but easy to do on this year's game. So easy to lock up. We'll all get more used to it as the year progresses, but yeah, these early races, I think you're going to see a lot of lockups, a lot of mistakes under braking, because it's so difficult to get braking right this year. There's Jackalacco on the back of them as well. Not got the pace at this track, does Jacko. We saw it a couple seasons ago in his title-winning season. Qatar was the finale, and we saw his struggles there. So we'll see if he can maintain position to Sumo and ZTX, but it's not looking like he's going to have a good day today, Jackalacco. As Nick Riles also really struggling. Oh, he's got no front right end plate. Pit, Nick. Why are you not pitting? You've got no end plate. That's why you're so slow. Maybe he thinks, oh my gosh, I'm so slow compared to these guys, and he's got no front right end plate. Of course he's slow. Sumo getting overtaken by his teammate in the meantime, and ZTX up to P9. I think Sumo's got damage on that Mercedes though, and there's contact with Jacko as they go through turn 2 with the understeer that he got from hitting Enchilada earlier on. Lawrence the next to get a time penalty, but there'll be more of those to come as Drogon nearly into the back of the McLaren driver. Tabo is back into P4 for now, but can he extend a gap? Meanwhile, by the way, Tia keeping up with Maxim, who is dragging him up towards Meliodas at the moment, as we've got another yellow flag. I'm not sure who's caused that. Maybe it was Aces, maybe it was Sumo. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. I think it might have been Sumo. He's got no front left end plate. I don't know if that's... I don't know if that's been there for a while, but surely going to have to pit now, as Tia is the next to get a track limits penalty. But he's doing a very good job. We know he's very strong at this circuit, Tia. He has been historically. Of course, with this new game, it can be very difficult. Some tracks that you liked before on this new handling model, suddenly you don't like them anymore, so it's not guaranteed. by any means, that you're going to still be good at the same tracks you were good at before, but clearly Tia's still a big fan of Qatar. He took his first, I believe his first Tier 2 win around this track 3 or 4 seasons ago, back when he was challenging for the title. And yeah, he's keeping up with these two Red Bulls very, very nicely at the moment. Don't know, I think that was Jacko getting past Mania, and now he's going to try and get past ZTX into the two right-handers, but has to back out of that one. ZTX holding on to P9 for now, but Jackalacko, he's a wily old fox. He knows what he's doing. He may not be the biggest fan of this circuit. He's going to be hoping to make up that position pretty soon. Mania losing track of the two drivers ahead of him in the meantime, and Sumo a long way behind, still hasn't pitted. Same with Nick Riles. Oh, he's finally pitted, but has he replaced his front wing? I'm not sure. Have they replaced his front wing? They have. Okay, so Nick back on the road with a new front wing and some new tyres. And Sumo, I think, just waiting for his designated pit stop time, but I think he's going to be waiting too long for that. He's going to have to come in. I'd be surprised if he didn't come in this lap. Tia still keeping up with Maxim as it stands. And meanwhile, Sumo round the final corner. Is he coming in? No, he stays out. Sumo stubborn to the end, and he's going to be overtaken by Aces pretty soon, I would imagine, as Jackalacko unable to get past the Williams of ZTX. Surprising there into turn 1. DRS wasn't quite enough for him. So Drogon still putting the pressure on this McLaren, the defending champion, really struggling on these hard tyres early in this race, but the race will come to him later on. That's what he'll be hoping anyway. He'll certainly be hoping for a late safety car that could allow him to take an unlikely win, what looks like an unlikely win at this stage of proceedings. Safety car around about lap 14 or so would be perfect for him, but we'll see how it progresses. Drogon a little wide, and that's a 3-second penalty for the Italian driver, as Lawrence goes a bit wide at the corner ahead as well, which will have probably been another track limits warning. And Jacko, the next one to get a track limits penalty in the other McLaren, under pressure from Mania, who's caught back up to these two, but surely Jacko will get the better of this Williams now down towards turn 1. ZTX doing a great job on his debut, it has to be said. All these guys on the hard tyres, so the race will come to them as well. As he goes defensive, does ZTX. Jackalacko's going to have to go round the outside. The former Tier 2 champion all the way round. Can he get the inside line for turn 2? Yes, he can, but can ZTX sweep all the way round? Fantastic racing between these two drivers, the newbie and the incredibly experienced Jackalacko in APPF1, but ZTX shuts him off. Fantastic driving from both of those guys, but particularly ZTX. We know Jacko is capable of incredible battles. We've seen it time and time again in his long career, but ZTX new to the scene and is producing some spectacular racing, which you love to see. And for now, just about staying ahead of the McLaren. Meanwhile, Tia still just about staying with Maxim, who's gone very deep into the penultimate corner there, and that's going to help Tia even more. Tia running out of ERS slowly but surely, but should get the DRS to reel that Red Bull back in towards turn 1 again. And that is exactly what's happening. Gap back down to 3/10, and Tia should be fairly safe for another lap unless he makes a big mistake. And Drogon down the inside. It's a move that's been coming for a very long time, and he's finally made it. Drogon up to P5, past the defending champion. of the rears on the exit of turn 2, but just about holds on to it. And meanwhile, the other McLaren trying to get past ZTX again round the outside. It's going to be deja vu from the last lap, but again ZTX sweeps around and keeps the place. This is amazing stuff between these two. Jacko going down the inside for the double right-hander. Surely that's not going to work. It is going to work for the Scottish driver. ZTX trying to hold on, but has to go off the track. He keeps the inside line though for the hairpin and keeps the place. Fantastic racing, but Jacko going to try and get the switchback on the exit. Is going to go round the outside of this long right-hander. Can he keep this move in? He's going to keep his foot in. Fantastic stuff from Jacko. ZTX staying with him. It takes 2 to tango, and he's going to keep it around the outside, try and go for the switchback. Here now is the Williams, but he's not going to be able to do it, but Jacko has to let him back through. I wonder if the game gave him an illegal overtake for going off the track there, quite possibly. And aces, all of this is allowing the Haas driver to catch up to these three, perhaps to get himself back in contention of a top 10 finish on those hard tyres. Sumo still staying out on those same tyres despite the front wing damage that he has most certainly got. And Tia staying with Maxim again. Enchiladad meanwhile making a pass on Alex down the inside with the DRS for P7, and once again these two come to blows, but this time Jacko gets it done before the braking zone, and that is going to be P9, a very well earned P9 for the Scottish driver, the reigning constructor champion, along with his teammate. Mania up there as well, and Aces has joined the party officially. He's almost within 1 second now of these three. I wonder if ZTX can stay with Jacko. He's struggling to on this lap, and he's going to be very vulnerable if he doesn't have the DRS down towards turn 1 at the end of this lap. So there's a lot at stake here for the Williams driver, the debutant this race. He's had a great race so far. It's still a long way to go, approaching the halfway mark, but he's doing a great job considering his qualifying and considering how the lack of confidence he had heading into this race, as Tia makes his way past Maxim due to the pit stop, and Tabo follows him in, but Tabo gets a 10-second penalty. That's another thing that's new to this game. Speeding in the pit lane, it used to be 5 seconds, it's now a 10-second penalty, and Tabo, yeah, it's going to be very costly for the newbie in the Aston Martin. He's going to exit the pits in P10, I think, P11, sorry. But yeah, he's going to be finding it tough as Mania down the inside of the Williams driver to take P7 on track as it stands, and Aces is going to be next up to get past ZTX, who seems to be struggling now at this point of the stint. Had some brilliant battles with Jacko, but here comes Aces down the inside of the double right-hander. ZTX lets him go. He's happy to not have to battle that Haas too much, and now he's got Maxim right behind, who he doesn't have to let through, but Maxim is going to be have a huge pace advantage, not just raw pace but tyres as well. But could these guys hold him up and allow Tia to perhaps build a gap? Because this outlap needs to be good for Maxim, and yeah, he's going to be held up big time by this Williams in front, who also blocked him in qualifying. His teammate Meliodas into the pits now. What about Tia? Is he going to come in as well? Yes, he is. So Maxim round the outside of Primeval. Primeval stays down the inside, but there's a bit of contact between the rear and front wheels, and Primeval is round. That's such a shame for him. He was having a great race, but I think just a bit too optimistic there. I'd have to have another look, but on first watch, it just seemed like he was a little too optimistic with that move against a faster driver, and it was always going to happen. I think he was left more than enough room as Maxim tries to make a double overtake down towards turn 1. He's gotten past Mania, and he has stayed ahead of Tia. What an undercut despite the traffic. He's had a monstrous undercut on the Sauber driver. And now he's 3 seconds ahead of Tia. Perhaps there was a mistake from the Sauber driver, but where's Meliodas? He's come out in P2, so he's a long way ahead still. as Lawrence, the only one of those top runners to have stayed out, of course, on the hard tyres. Same for Jacko, and Aces have stayed out as well. Aces with this Red Bull right behind him. He's not going to make his life easy, I don't think, as Maxim is going to try and find a way past any opportunity. He knows he's going to get slowed down by this traffic if he's not careful. Here he goes, using the overtake on the exit. And much better tyres, much better pace for Maxim, and he makes his way back up into P4 for the Red Bull team. Jacko only a second up the road, so he'll be next up, and then it'll be his teammate, who's still about 5 seconds. The gap hasn't changed much ever since Maxim got his way into P2. That gap between him and his teammate has stayed pretty static all race long, as Aces and Mania both into the pits now for their scheduled stops onto the medium tyres. And how much of an undercut is Primeval going to get, I wonder? Although, no, he had the incident, so it's not a good comparison, as Drogon gets his way past Tabo for P6. Great move for the Italian, very important for his race. There's a lot of penalties on screen. I will draw attention to those in a little bit later in the race. I'll put them up on screen, but for now, let's have a little bit of a look at them. So Tabo with that 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane, that's going to be very costly. Sumo on 9 seconds for track limits, and then 3 seconds for Lawrence, Jacko, Tyr, Drogon, Aces and Primeval, with 10 seconds also for Nick Riles, presumably for speeding in the pit lane as well. Drogon now getting another time penalty, so he's up to 6 seconds in the Haas. And suddenly he's not looking so safe from this Aston Martin, although he does seem to have a lot of pace today, Drogon. So perhaps this game has suited him better than last year's game. It's great to see him as well with no lag this year, because towards the end of F1 23 he was having a very bad time with lag and connection issues. Maxim getting past Jacko, who comes into the pits. But yeah, good to see Drogon with no lag and no stutters, and with the fastest lap. Look at that from the Haas driver, 24.8, and he continues his march through the grid. Jacko coming out, Sumo as well into the pits. Drogon is Lucastro, yes, same driver. Jacko exiting a significant distance behind Alex, but where's Aces going to be? That's the big question. Aces coming down to turn 1 now. There's the McLaren in front, and Jacko with a big, a very important exit of the pit lane there, staying ahead of Aces despite the undercut. And Mania 2.2 seconds down. His pit stop didn't go well at all, as Sumo exits behind Primeval. He'll be down in 13th place, but still looking to get some points from today, as will Nick Riles. Lap 16 of 29 now we're on, coming on to lap 17, and Lawrence finally enters the pit lane. He's seen how quickly Meliodas has caught up, but it's a huge mistake from the defending champion. It's a pit lane speeding penalty for him as well. 10 seconds added to his race time. It's going to be medium tyres, but it's not going to matter because of that 10-second penalty. And well, he's going to exit the pit lane a long way down. Maxim now 6.5 seconds behind his teammate. And Meliodas well in front. Tyr, Tabo and Drogon in the meantime, side by side through turn 1. Great stuff between those two. Drogon back onto the track, just ahead of the Aston Martin, and Tabo has to live to fight another day, but great battling between these two. And Lawrence is going to be not far behind. He's going to be catching up very, very quickly on those fresh mediums, but it's not going to matter with a 10-second penalty to his name. That's a huge mistake, not a very characteristic mistake from Lawrence, I have to say. We don't see him do that kind of thing very often. And well, the two-time champion is going to have his work cut out this race now. Aces and Jacko side by side in the meantime through the right-handers. I missed this battle. These two very, very long-term veterans of the league, and Jacko staying ahead for now, but Aces, who had a turbulent start to this Grand Prix, is now right behind the McLaren, looking to take P9. But Mania is not far behind, and both of these guys have penalties. So Mania in a great position to take a top 10 finish here. Unfortunately, Primeval a long way down after his spin earlier on with his collision with Maxim, which I still maintain. I think that was perhaps just not desperation, but just really wanting to have a battle. But I think, in retrospect, possibly should have backed out of that one. But anyway, Aces through the final corner. Jacko gets another time penalty on the exit there, as does ZTX a little further down, and Lawrence as well, so he's up to 13 seconds of penalties, as Aces goes down the inside. Could be even 16 for Lawrence. And Aces up to P9 now. On track with Alex 4.5 seconds ahead. He's having a great race. He said he would be nowhere today on pace, and here he is, P8. He's having a bit of a lonely time now in this second stint, and those medium runners are going to catch up to him pretty quickly now, but he's having a good time out there at the moment. So I don't think he should be too harsh on himself. He still hasn't got any penalties either. Enchiladad's talking no penalties in P7, 8 seconds behind Lawrence. He's in a bit of a lonely spot as well, but it's going to be a good day for Kick Sauber as it stands. Tier in P3, Enchiladad in P7, possibly P6. Drogon and Aces, both Hasses getting a time penalty within seconds of each other. So let's get those penalties on the screen. So we know Lawrence and then everyone behind Alex is on mediums, apart from Nick. As Tabo looking to make another move on Drogon down the inside into turn 1. Drogon sweeps around the outside. Here comes Tabo though. He's going to have to stick behind for now. Very close between those two. Again, great battles up and down the grid today. It's been a great season opener, I have to say, as Aces now sets the fastest lap on those fresh mediums. And I don't think the fastest lap is going to belong to a hard tyre runner by the end of this race. Despite the raw pace difference between the Red Bulls and, well, seemingly everyone else. Maybe except Tier, because he's been very good today as well. But let's get penalties on the screen. Lawrence catching up to these two, but he's got 16 seconds of penalties, 10 for speeding in the pit lane, 6 for track limits. Drogon with a big mistake there. He's got 9 seconds of penalties. Tabo's got 10, so the battle between these two actually quite close, even after penalties. Tier on 3 seconds. He should be safely in P3 in this race, barring any disasters. And then Aces on 6, Jacko also on 6, and he's not been able to stay with the Haas driver. Mania on nothing, Primeval on 6, Sumo on 9, and Nick on 10 for pit lane speeding. But Enchiladad now with a 3-second time penalty, so the number of drivers without a time penalty is slowly dwindling down as the race progresses. Still 10 laps to go. Enchiladad finally gets himself a penalty, and that's going to be good news for Aces. It gives him a chance. He's right behind Alex already. Those medium tyres, huge advantage on pace. Has anyone got low fuel, says Rick. Might be interesting towards the end. Let's have a quick look. No, everyone's fine for fuel at the moment, it seems. But Alex under pressure from this Haas. Aces with a lot more pace through the double right-hander. What a send! Oh, he's locked the rears though! He's locked the rears! He's gone for a send into the hairpin and just overcooks it, locks the rears and sideswipes into Alex. Nick has retired in the pit lane, has he? Has he retired in the pit lane? Wait, where is he? Is he on track? Oh, he is on track, and he's caused a virtual... It's actually a full safety car that he's caused by retiring on track there. Not ideal. Okay. That's, yeah, that's not great. But anyway. Well, it says a virtual on my screen, but there's definitely a safety car out on track. A lot of drivers pitting. So let's get tyres back on screen. Most are going to go onto mediums, I assume. Softs are going to be awful. They're going to be awful. Drogon has gone on to the softs, but I think that's the wrong call. The softs are really, really bad on this game. They're going to drop off on him very, 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 very quickly. Aces has stayed out. He's up to P5, but time penalties are going to be huge for this season, for this race rather. Especially with this late safety car now. And well, Drogon, I think, is going to in for a rude awakening of how bad those softs are. I'm afraid. Enchiladadad retires from the session. Oh no! He's crashed into the safety car! He's not been watching where he's going and he's crashed into the safety car. Oh, Enchiladadad. Oh, that is devastating for him and for Sauber, because he was in with a great shot of some good points. He only had 3 seconds of penalties and he's crashed into the safety car. Oh dear, dear, dear. Even under a safety car, you've got to be paying attention to the race, to the track in front of you. Oh dear, oh dear. Drogon's now winning the race because I've good jinxed him. We'll see. We'll see. ZTX also on the softs. Meliodas also going on to the softs. And Tyr coming into the pits. Is that for softs? Oh yeah, he hasn't stopped yet, so it will be for softs. I don't know why he hasn't stopped yet. Now he comes in. It's Tyr. Why are you on hards, my friend? Why are you on hards? Oh no. What was looking like an excellent season opener for Kick Sauber in 2 laps has turned into a complete disaster. Oh no, why has he gone onto the hards? Even softs would be better than hards, Tyr. Oh dear, oh dear. He is going to have a very bad time once this safety car comes in. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, I think Maxim is now the favourite to win this race. He's on the medium tyres. Meliodas is on the softs. They're going to be gone by lap 26. And Meliodas is going to drop off in pace, I would have thought. And Maxim has got a real chance of taking this away from his teammate, who's led pretty much from start to finish in this race, barring a brief period where Lawrence was leading. Let's have a quick look at penalties. A lot of 10-second penalties, in fact all 10-second penalties, were served in the pit lane. So you can serve them in the pit lane apparently, which is good to know. But Lawrence on 6 seconds, Ace is on 6 as well, Drogon on 9 seconds of penalties, Tabo with nothing, both Red Bulls on nothing as well. And Tyr on 3 seconds on hard tyres, he stayed out as well. Jacko on 6, ZTX on 6, and Sumo on 9 seconds of penalties. Everyone back in this race now. Lawrence blessed with the safety car, quite possibly, but also not really, because he was having a great... he was getting his way through the grid. Yes, he had a 10-second penalty, but he was getting his way through the grid, and now that 6 seconds is going to probably drop him a few spots. We're going to have 6 laps left to run. Once the safety car comes in, presumably at the end of this lap. There's going to be a shootout for those positions in this breathtaking season opener. Enchiladadad in the chat saying he looked away for 2 seconds and didn't realise the safety car was right in front of him. That is devastating. Oh dear. Oh, enchilada dad. It was going to be a great opener for him as well. He was doing a really good job. And then it all goes wrong. In an instant. I'm going to keep penalties on the screen because I think that's more useful knowledge than tyres. Safety car's lights still haven't gone out. And there we go. Safety car in this lap, finally. The message is on screen. And here we go. Meliodas is going to get us underway. He's led this race. He's been in full control of this race. All the way through. Drogon spins under the safety car and he's down to P8 on those soft tyres. Oh no, Drogon. What an awful way to lose what would have been a great race for him. The safety car has screwed over so many people. And, well, that newbie retiring on track is fully to blame. Tier's gotten a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag. I'm sure he'll appeal that in stewards. But Maxim is go. Sorry, Meliodas is go. Down towards turn 1. Maxim right behind. He's going to press the overtake button. He's going to go for the move on his teammate into turn 1. No, he's not. He's going to stay just behind. And, keep that P2 for now. Aces just behind, but with 6 seconds of penalties. Tabo is in a great shape. We could have an all newbie podium here, both Red Bulls and Tabo. So you get to speak to 3 new drivers that we haven't spoken to before, if they all come to the interviews. But Tabo in a great position here. Before the safety car, it was looking like a locked-on podium for Tier, and now suddenly he's got 6 seconds of penalties. And he's down in P8. How the tides turn. And all because the safety car that shouldn't have been, thanks to the guy who retired on track and then left the server. Thanks for that, Nick Riles. For ruining the whole race just because you couldn't be bothered. Thank you for that. But anyway, Tabo sticking behind Aces. Lawrence just about there as well on those medium tyres, but he's under pressure from Alex in the Mercedes, who's right behind and got no penalties to his name. If he can stay with these guys, he's got an opportunity for a podium as well. Drogon is right behind on those softs though. Those softs are going to drop off very quickly, and he's got 9 seconds of penalties as well. Meliodas 23.7. DRS enabled. He sets the fastest lap. Maxim's behind, but he's not close enough. Tabo getting past Aces around the outside of turn 1 for P3. Great move from the newbie in the Aston Martin. Lawrence trying to make his way past Aces as well. Both of these so experienced in APPF1. Drogon right there as well in the other Haas. And Alex just staying behind for now, just watching it all happen. We've got the McLaren and the Haas side by side through the double right-hander. Aces and Lawrence going wheel to wheel into the hairpin. Alex going down the inside of Drogon as well. What a move from the Ukrainian, but they've both been sent very far wide. I think they locked wheels. And Alex up to P7, but at what cost? And he's got a 3-second time penalty now as well. So even he has received a penalty, and now only 4 drivers left on the grid without a penalty. Mania could end up in the top 5 here once all is said and done, due to having no penalties to his name. Tier with 6 seconds, Lawrence with 6, Aces with 6, Alex with 3, Drogon 9, Jacko 6, and Primeval and Sumo 6 and 9 respectively. The whole grid very close together now, except for those front runners. ZTX Primeval with another penalty, Sumo with another penalty as well, and Meliodas with another fastest lap. Here comes Drogon just behind Alex. Can he make this move? Yes, he can. The Haas up to P7, and Lawrence and Aces swap as well. The McLaren up to P4 fairly easily in the end for the McLaren driver. Tabo is just ahead of them, but he's got no penalties to his name and is in a great spot here to take a podium on his debut in APPF1. Drogon getting past Tier in the meantime for P6. Great stuff from him in the Haas. but despite those soft tyres, which will surely be going off a cliff very, very soon. 3 laps to go at the end of this one, and don't forget about Meliodas also on the softs, so he's going to have a bad time towards the end of this race, and Maxim is going to be brought right back into it. I'm keeping an eye on that gap between the 2 Red Bulls. As Drogon now trying to get past his teammate for P5. The 2 Hasses on for a good result here. They've got to make sure they don't ruin it by doing something silly. And I'm sure that's going to be in the front of Drogon's mind here. Through the penultimate corner. Nearly gets a track limits warning there. He might well have done. And into the final corner now. Look at the exit speed for Drogon. I don't think it's quite going to be enough, but look at this gap. Maxim Goltor right back in the fight for this race win. The 2 Hasses have swapped positions, and Tia makes his way past as well. Ace is getting swamped with no DRS. Alex down the inside, making contact with the British driver. He's going to go around the outside of turn 2. Ace is squeezes him to the curb. Just about gets away with it. Oh, he squeezes him off the road. Alex gets back onto the tarmac, but Aces stays around the outside and keeps the position for now. But Alex down the inside, there's more contact between the 2 of them. Alex again down the inside, trying to keep it stuck there. Aces down the inside again for the hairpin, but Alex gets the better exit, and he's up to P7. Fantastic racing. Elbows really out. It was very dicey, I have to say. But you know, they got their elbows out. It's a season opener. Everyone's a bit rusty. So in the end, not too bad, I don't think. I don't think anyone will be upset with that. But Jacko now right behind his rival Aces for P8. They've both got 6 seconds of penalties. Alex is going to be off trying to get P4 from this race. As Sumo trying to make his way past Mania for P10, and does so with a switchback move. Primeval's just behind, waiting for something to happen, but Sumo gets his way past. It's going to be a switchback again, and the 2 Red Bulls have swapped places. Maxim into the lead of the race for the first time today. Lawrence getting past Tabo on track as well, but he's got 6 seconds of penalties, and Maxim leads the Qatar Grand Prix with Meliodas struggling on those soft tyres. He's going to get one more go at the end of this lap. It's the penultimate lap of the race, so I'll have to keep an eye on them as they get onto the main straight for one last time. Is that ZTX into the pits? It is. I wonder why. A new front wing perhaps? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened to ZTX Primeval, but he's come in for fresh tyres. It is softs, but maybe going for fastest lap at the end here. I think that might possibly be it, but he could have gained a position from Sumo because of the penalties, but anyway. The 2 Red Bulls still locked together, and this midfield pack really battling it out as well. Tabo in the driving seat for this podium place, but Tia... don't forget, that's only 6 seconds of penalties. I'm sure he'll get that 10 seconds removed. So as it stands, he is ahead of Aces and Jacko. Mania gets another penalty now, or his first penalty. And he's in a Mercedes sandwich at the moment. The 2 Red Bulls swapping places again, though. Meliodas back into the lead of the Grand Prix on the final lap into turn 1. Maxim's just got to stay with him, though. We know those softs are going to be tired now at this point in the race, and there's still going to be opportunity for him. Jacko past Aces into turn 1. Alex and Mania battling out for P9, which is going to turn into something like P5 at the end of this one. So there's a lot at stake here between these 2, but Alex keeping the position. Sumo's there as well, but he's got a whole host of penalties to his name, as the 2 Red Bulls right together in the middle sector. Can Maxim do anything here on this final lap? He's got plenty of ERS. Meliodas doesn't, so there should be a chance for Maxim if he plays his cards right down towards the line. But remember, the start-finish line is much closer to the final corner than it was last year. So Maxim's going to have to send one into the final corner, I think, if he wants to get this race victory at the very end. He's coming down now into the penultimate corner. Here we go. Is Maxim going to send one? He's got a good exit. He's using the overtake. I don't think he's close enough. He isn't. He's got to get the best exit he possibly can, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think there's a bit of party chat in there. Meliodas takes the win. Maxim just behind. The two Red Bulls 1 and 2. Lawrence P3 on track, but it's Tabu who takes it after penalties. Drogon and Tia tumbling down the order. Alex and Mania 5 and 6 in the end. Great stuff from both of them, keeping it clean throughout the race. Tia, from what was looking like a certain podium, finishes 10th in the end, with Sumo in 11th and ZTX Primeval on his debut. Well, I think he had a really good race, I have to say. He had some brilliant racing with Jacko in the middle part of the race, and you know, he may not have been the fastest on track, but he was good enough to compete in the lower midfield there. So I hope he had fun. I certainly had fun watching him race. He was doing some brilliant racing out there, but yeah, that touch between him and Maxim, and then also the pit stop at the end, doomed his chances of finishing any higher, but he still scores points. So there we have it. There is your final classifications for the first race, the first 50% race in APPF1 for F124. Meliodas takes the win ahead of his teammate Maxim in the end by 1/10 of a second. Tabo comes home in P3 with Lawrence in 4th place. Alex G and Mania on the 3rd row with Jackalacco and 3rd row 5 and 6. Jacko and Drogon 7 and 8. Drogon could have been so much more. Ace is P9. Tia could have been so much more for him. P10. Sumo P11. I think Primeval had a good race. He finished P12 in the end. And then Enchilada died crashing into the safety car, unfortunately. And there we have it. Thank you, Wumax. Good to see you. Have a good evening yourself as well. And let's get some guys into the interview room if we can. Just waiting for the podium finishers to see if they're going to join. We've got Meliodas. I don't know if we're going to get Maxim and Tabo as well.
Yeah,
Tabo's on
joining.
PC. Maxim's joining.
Maxim joining, yes.
Great to hear.
Now arrived.
Tabo's on PC, so unfortunately he won't be able to join us. Maybe we can sort that out for next time.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone, guys.
Right, let's see. So I think volume needs to go up here and here a bit. Right, both of you, Max and Meliodas, if you could go into the party voice chat as it is, and there should be 3 dots on the right hand side of the menu at the top saying more. If you go
One
to
second. Let me check.
that, so in the party voice chat, and then the 3 dots in a line at the top that say more.
Yeah, I have share my voice is okay.
Cool, you got it. You know exactly what I'm asking for. Cool.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll come to our race winner. First of all, Meliodas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, by the way. Is that how am I supposed to say?
Meliodas.
Meliodas. Okay. But congratulations on the race win, on your debut in APPF1. Was it a good race from your perspective? I know you spent a lot of it a long way out in front, but it seemed like it was all about managing that gap until the late safety car came.
So this track is one of my favorite in F1 23, and in this game the same. I love this track, and for me and Max is only win the championship, the team championship, and try to battle for the driver championship. Me and him for win a lot because me and him push all time all together in open lobby or in other championship, and is only for try to have a good pace, forgive us.
Forgive his English. He's not very good to speak it, but
all good. You're
and
fine.
he's learning.
For the battle for you, when you caster this race for fun.
Yeah, no, it was a great race to watch and to commentate on. I'm glad both of you enjoyed it as well. In terms of had that last stint after the safety car came in, and suddenly you were both together again. Were there any team orders there, or was it just it was
No,
all,
I
all to the flag?
I decided at the end to don't attack him because he deserved his win more than me, in my opinion. So I did a very bad mistake in the qualifying. It wasn't intentional, and for that I started in P7, I think. I don't remember. And at the end I thought about that, and I decided to let him win because he deserved it more than me. And so I tried to attack him a bit in the last stint after the safety car, but I changed my idea at the end.
Well, it was great to watch the two of you have a battle in the end, because you were so far apart for most of the race due to that qualifying, like you said. But do you both have Qatar as one of your faves then?
Sorry, can you repeat?
You both have Qatar as one of your favorite tracks then? Is it the same for you, Maxim?
No, for me, I like Qatar, but it's not one of my better tracks. For Meliodas, yes, Qatar, like other tracks, it's one of his favorites and one of his fastest track. But for me, I like Qatar. It's not bad, but I don't think it's one of my better tracks at the end. So today it was his race, not mine. So
fair enough. Well, very noble of both of you. Congratulations on your victory and 1-2 today. And we will see you in the next race, I'm sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, we will be able to talk to Tabo. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say it, but you're on mobile, so it's great to be able to talk to you. Congratulations on a debut podium. How was that race for you? I'm just going to turn your volume up slightly. No, no, all good. All good. There we go, that's better. Yeah, it was. It did seem like a long race, even from the commentary box. Even though there was action throughout, I think it's just because we all haven't raced in so long. But it's good to be back with APPF1 and, well, an all-newbie podium. But in the end, it was the track limits penalties that made the difference, it seems. How many warnings were you on? Ah, right. But... yeah, well, you did a great job. I think one of only 3 drivers, I think you 3 were the only ones not to get track limits penalties on the grid, so a worthy podium, I think. But in terms of the racing today, how did you find it? Were there any battles that stood out to you? That's great to hear. Well, I hope you can join us for more Tier 2 races, because it was great to watch you on track, and congratulations on your debut podium. Well, that'll be all for today's coverage of the Tier 2 opener in APPF1. We'll have Tier 1 on Friday, of course. Hopefully Sumo will be able to stream that on his channel later this week, but Tier 1 opener at Qatar, and then fingers crossed we'll get an Elite opener at Qatar on Sunday as well, because of sign-ups. We're trying our best, but a lot of leagues are struggling at the moment. But Tier 2, as you can see, very healthy indeed. So thank you all ever so much for watching, and we'll see you all next week for more Tier 2. Goodbye.